let's talk some terminology. Firstly, an enroller versus a sponsor. So when you get connected with Young Living, every single member needs an enroller and a sponsor. So an enroller, what's an enroller? An enroller is generally the person that introduces someone to Young Living and gets that person connected. They were the inspiration, they were the driving force, they were who generally the new member heard about Young Living and the incredible products through, or maybe they heard about the Thrive Tribe, okay? So for example, my friend Rachel saw me using my incredible Young Living products. I gave her a sample, I gave her some information, I jumped on a phone call with her, I booked a 3-way call with Ryan, and Rachel decides to get connected. I would be the enroller for Rachel. Now, I also need to give Rachel a sponsor. So a sponsor is where in your organization you will be buddying up the new member with. So for example, I might have 3 different legs, and we'll cover what a leg is in a moment, that I can place my new member Rachel within. Now, in one of my legs, in my first leg, there's someone called Caitlin, and Rachel actually knows Caitlin. So I'm going to place Rachel with Caitlin's organization and with Caitlin. So I'll make Caitlin the sponsor, and that way they are teamed up and they can work together for their entire Young Living wellness journey, okay? So the enroller is whoever introduces that person to Young Living, and the sponsor is where in your organization you are going to place your new member. They can, if you're just starting out, quite often, if it's your first enrollment, you're going to be both the enroller and the sponsor, but your Oily Mentor will help walk you through that. And if you have questions about that, always ask your Oily Mentor for help. All right, next, PV. What is PV? PV stands for personal volume, okay, or a point. So Young Living is a multinational company. So what they need is they need a point system that makes like a universal currency for all of Young Living, right? And that's what PV allows us to do. So what you are going to notice is every time you place an order, you're going to have a certain amount of PV associated to it, which we would have covered in Essential Rewards, okay? So for example, 100 PV deems you eligible for earning commission, right? So every product that you order in Young Living, over to the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a PV value associated, which is different to the dollar value, but usually it will line up with the US dollar to some degree. And that is your personal volume, your personal points, which is made up of the individual points of the items that you are ordering each month. Next, a leg. What is a leg? So a leg is the first person in your organization that is building a business, okay? So as we go ahead, initially you're gonna start with 2 legs, maybe 3 legs that you're focusing on, okay? And each of them are like little business units that you're gonna be working with. And we'll cover that in more detail later. But right now, you just need to know that you want to be focusing on finding 2 to 3 different business builders, and they're going to form your legs, 3 legs. Finally, for today's terminology, what is OGV? OGV is overall group volume. So we've got our personal volume, our PV, which is just the order you place each month, what the value is. Then you're going to have your overall group volume. So an overall group volume is the total amount of PV that everyone within your organization is placing as an order each month. So for example, if you currently have 3 members in your organization, they're each on ER, and let's just say one is on 100 PV, the other is on 110, the other is on 120. That would be a total of 330 overall group volume plus your 100 VB. So that PV, that would be 430 overall group volume total. Okay, so hopefully that helps. There's a little bit more information down below, and don't get overwhelmed. I know that's a lot of terminology, but it will make more sense as we go on. You can always refer back to the information below to refresh your mind and ask your Oily Mentor.